In today's video, we're going to have a serious conversation about Arsenal Football Club, where they're at this season, what their expectations are, and really talk about them, their summer transfer window. And I'm going to give you my thoughts as a Manchester United fan without trying to be biased on their squad and what to expect. Now, I know Arsenal's two biggest issues last season was injuries and lack of depth. And then I think the other biggest issue they had was, of course, like breaking teams down, sort of, if teams were having a low block against them, just trying to find that spark to win a game when they would dominate a game and their field tilt was high. It was trying to have that spark. And I think that's two areas that Arsenal have somewhat addressed in the transfer window. And I look at Arsenal's transfer window, and I personally think that Arsenal have had one of the most underrated transfer windows in football. I think it's very, very good. And I think Arsenal fans are aware it's very, very good. But I feel like it hasn't got that much attention compared to how good I think it is. Like, a lot of people sort of ignoring Mosquera and Nørgaard because they feel like small signings. Madueke is obviously a controversial one. I think you've signed a good player. Maybe you overpay, but I think the player there is good. Hincapié, again, maybe some people aren't familiar with that. It's another defender, so people sort of sweep it under the rug. I feel like the ones that got the attention were Eze and Gyökeres, and because Zubimendi was done so early, it didn't get a lot of attention. But Mosquera is a really, really good, talented centre-back, so highly rated. Nørgaard is such an underrated player in the Premier League. Madueke is a really good player that will bring a lot more than people think and bring something different. Do I think he was a £52 million player? Not so sure. Hincapié, very underrated defender. I think it's because another defender, it gets ignored. Gyökeres, Zubimendi, just a world-class player. He might need time to get used to the tempo, but there's something there. And of course, we know how good Eze is. And I look at this Arsenal window and I go, this is nothing short of huge. This is a window for me that changes everything about Arsenal in one summer. This window changes everything because Saka's injured, well, Madueke is there. Havertz is injured, well, Gyökeres is there. Saliba's injured, well, Mosquera is there. And Mosquera didn't look out of place in that Liverpool game. Arsenal have already got 3 huge injuries at the beginning of the season, and they're fine because they've done what they needed to do. And had Arsenal had those 3 injuries of Saka, Havertz and Saliba, and they hadn't done that business, they could be in trouble already, even if they're only out for a few weeks. But Arsenal, I know they didn't beat Liverpool, but they will feel in somewhat safe hands. And I think already the transfer window has changed a lot because you don't want to be out that title race in October or got a lot of catching up to do by then because you've missed a lot of key players and now you've got the work catching up to do. And it wasn't just about depth. As I said, it's about unpredictability in attack. You've got Saka, Odegaard, Saliba and Havertz who've all had injury issues last year. You've now got, or in the past under Arteta, you've now got players to cover all those players as they can cover Odegaard, as I said, Mosquera for Saliba, Madueke for Saka, Gyökeres for Havertz. But also some of those players in Madueke, Eze and Gyökeres are players that like to shoot, like to dribble, like to take on people, like to make things happen. And Arsenal also were a little bit predictable last season and they needed to be unpredictable. And I think these players help with that. Arsenal finally look like they've built a squad for a Premier League and Champions League campaign. Like, when you look at the amount of games that Arsenal are going to play over this season, they've finally got a squad that has the depth for Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. You saw how deep City used to go in all those competitions when they had an absolutely stacked squad. I feel like Arsenal have now got their stacked squad, and now the injuries aren't necessarily season enders. And I think with Saka as well, now he's got that injury. If you rush him back, he could get injured again. With Madueke, you don't need to rush Saka back, so it reduces the chance of re-injuries. And the new signing means that there's not a huge drop in standards when Arteta rotates now. It's a balanced side still, given, the players that have come in. Madueke will bring more than people think. Gyökeres will score goals. Mosquera looks solid versus Liverpool. I feel like Arsenal's window is a lot better than he gets credit for. So I want to talk about the window. I want to talk about Arsenal. I want to talk about the players they brought in and my general thoughts. So let's start with Madueke. We know that he's dynamic, he's direct, he likes to work, he likes and he thrives in those 1v1s. He likes to get at people, dribble and shoot. He likes to dribble, shoot, be direct. And I think that's something that Arteta needs because sometimes I feel that Arsenal are a little bit backwards, sideways passing and they don't have that guy that's just really looking to make something happen. And maybe you can argue Arteta could give his players more freedom. And I think Arteta's very strict and maybe that limits certain players in the final third. But having someone like Madueke that likes to take people on, likes to run at people, likes to get forward, likes to be direct is such a good thing for Arsenal to have. He also likes to get shots off. He's got a high shot volume. And when it comes to breaking down low blocks, sometimes it's just about having a player that can create something or score something out of nowhere. And Madueke at least tries to do that. He'll run at defenders. He likes to take risks. He likes to create chances. And he can help on either side. When Saka's there, he can challenge on the left. He's someone that's got a good shot volume. He's someone that can help all round. Now I want to talk about Arsenal's big signing, Victor Gyökeres. Now, I think some games you've seen the best of Victor Gyökeres, and some games you've seen none of Victor Gyökeres. And I'm going to say one thing on Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal and Arteta need to play to Gyökeres' strengths, because if you play to Gyökeres' strengths, there's an elite level player there. You look at the goal he scored versus Leeds. He gets it in the channel, he runs with it, and he does a lot of work and he scores. If you can release the ball quickly to Gyökeres running the channels, Gyökeres will be lethal. You've got to give him the service. You've got to release the ball quickly. You've got to let him run onto the ball. Gyökeres isn't someone that does this amazing back to goal play. He's someone that needs to run onto it. And I look at it and I think that he is a good striker, but Arsenal will need to play to his strengths to get the best out of Victor Gyökeres. But he brings something very different to Jesus. He's very different to Havertz. He's very aggressive and he scores a lot of half chances. Havertz is someone that's better at holding up the ball and doing this and doing that. But Gyökeres is someone that is direct, that is aggressive, someone that can score half chances, someone that feeds in the box, feeds in the channels. And, if you're on the transition or you're moving the ball quickly, you're playing quick balls forward, Gyökeres is going to be there making runs. And if you can find him, it works well. And I actually think that Eze, if you signed a top left winger, Eze in the 10, probably complements Gyökeres a little bit better than Odegaard just because of Eze's ability to release the ball quicker, whereas Odegaard likes to take a lot of touches. But he's already scoring 2 goals. We've seen what Gyökeres can do at Sporting. We saw what he can do versus Leeds. There is a good player there that can make something happen out of nothing, and Arsenal need to play to those strengths. We talk about Mosquera, 21-year-old centre-back from Valencia, very highly rated, top potential. And we saw it in the Liverpool game, he was fearless. He was very comfortable on the ball. He was taking a lot of risk in possession against Liverpool, and I liked that. I thought he was very comfortable on the ball in the big games. Didn't look out of place, didn't look nervy in such a big game against Liverpool. Quick, aggressive in duels, very good on the ball, very comfortable on the ball, very press resistant. And yeah, he just seemed very intelligent positionally. I think playing in a stable back line with Gabriel and Timber and Calafiore and Arteta being a coach that drills his defence well, of course, helps in it, and it helps the stability. But we saw how much Mosquera brought in terms of confidence. He was taking risks on the ball. He was happy to get quite far forward. And I know that Arsenal didn't beat Liverpool, but it was a brilliant Szoboszlai free kick that, Arsenal's defence or anyone could do anything about. It was a rocket from Szoboszlai. So yeah, let's talk about Nørgaard. Now, Nørgaard's probably a signing that everyone's just like, whatever. But look, Arsenal lost Partey and Jorginho. Zubimendi is the Partey replacement. Nørgaard is the Jorginho replacement. With Nørgaard, you have a proven Premier League player who's going to add experience, who's going to add composure, that knows the league, doesn't need time to settle in. Jorginho came from Chelsea. Nørgaard comes from Brentford. You have somebody that's replacing Jorginho, that knows the league, that's come from the league, that is experienced, that has a good attitude, isn't particularly expensive. He provides depth for Rice. He provides depth for Zubimendi. Nørgaard is very clever. He's very good at breaking up play. He's very intelligent. He can press smartly. He's a player that Arteta is going to like, and I think he will go down as maybe one of the most underrated signings of the season. He's a very good squad player. In fact, an upgrade on Jorginho. And one thing about Arsenal this season is they've improved the floor of their squad. You've got to improve the ceiling and you've got to improve the floor of your squad. And Arsenal have definitely improved the floor of their squad with these kind of signings. Another player that gives them elite depth at the back is Hincapié. He's a left-back, left-centre-back hybrid who's very quick, he's very good at 1v1 defending, comfortable in the overlap, and I could see him playing left-back and challenging with Calafiore. Lewis Skelly could go into midfield, but if something happens to Gabriel, I can see him going as centre-back or Calafiore going centre-back and he going at left-back. I think him and Calafiore sort of double, a sort of cover for Gabriel, and Lewis Skelly is a left-back option, Calafiore is a left-back option, Hincapié is also a left-back option. He plays his best football as centre-back in a back 3, but he can play left-back in a back 4. He can be a Ben White who comes to Arsenal centre-back and turns into a full-back. He's got very similar characteristics to Ben White, and if you've seen clips of him, you'll see he's comfortable in the overlap. He's physically strong, he's good in the air, he's good in duels, he's very fast, and he's a good 1v1 defender. And I think Hincapié is an underrated signing. I think because Calafiore started the season so well, and Lewis Skelly can play left back, some people might go, why have Arsenal done it? But Calafiore, as good as he is, he's had injury issues, and Lewis Skelly may go into midfield, and something may happen to Gabriel, and you've got that cover there. Obviously, let's talk about Zubimendi. In Zubimendi, he's a calm defensive midfielder. Arsenal have lacked since peak Partey. I think Partey had good moments last year, but he hasn't been at his best for a couple of years. But one thing about him is he's better on the ball than Partey. Now, I don't think we've seen the best of Zubimendi yet. I think he needs to get used to the tempo. But what we know on Zubimendi is he's very good on the ball. He's very good in build-up. He's very good at turning under the pressure, progressing play, and he reads the game well. He can intercept the danger. He reads the game well. He's allowing Rice to push further up and have more influence on the game, and Rice is doing really good at that. And he's got that Champions League experience. He's reliable, he's entering his prime years, and he gives Arsenal a lot of stability. We haven't seen the best of Zubimendi yet, but he's very good on the ball. There was a reason Liverpool were desperate for him last year. And when you take that into account with the other signings they have, it's a great window, because we're going to look at Eze. Eze thrives between the lines. Eze can play as a 10, Eze can play as a left 8, Eze can play as a left winger who comes and drifts inside. And to get the best out of Eze, if you're going to play him at left wing, you want an overlapping left back, which is what Hincapié can do. Still think he's better centrally, Eze, but he can beat men in tight spaces, drive into the box, drive with the ball. He's got a high shot volume, like Gyökeres, like Madueke, 3 players that like to get the ball, run at people, drive, get off the shot. It creates chaos. It creates unpredictability. It will help Arsenal break down low blocks. He's a threat with a dead ball. He's a fantastic set piece taker. If Arsenal couldn't get any better at set pieces, it's annoying how good they are at set pieces. But he's someone that likes to dribble, get between the lines, make things happen. And that chaos and what he will add will make Arsenal more unpredictable, which will improve them. So all in all, we're talking about Arsenal. What I wanted to talk about in regards to their squad, the depth and quality of the squad has massively improved. They've got squad depth to challenge Prime City, Liverpool, Prime Bayern, Prime Madrid, which is what you need to win all the competitions. We know that Arsenal are very good defensively. Arteta's built this elite defensive side, but he's maybe struggled with attack and breaking teams down. And Arteta, I think, could maybe loosen the reins a little bit in the final third, but now he's got more players that could take risks and do something a little bit different. Arsenal now got those chaos creators, which could help. I think there's a good balance in Arsenal's squad from defence to pressing to midfield to attack. There's a good depth there. And I think if Arteta can adapt to his players' strengths, get the balance right and offer a bit more freedom in attack, I think Arsenal could be deadly. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.